Chris Hall with Top Sports Report. So, Chris, thanks for being with us this afternoon.
How you doing, guys?
We're doing good. Hope you are. And just give us a little recap of the 2013 season for the Tigers and, talk about that Orange Bowl win last Friday.
Oh, the Orange Bowl win was pretty huge. I think it was a lot similar to last year. There was a lot of questions following the South Carolina game. I think some of our Clemson friends, they were kind of worried about the game. A lot of them didn't go down. Wasn't really kind of sure what team was going to show up mentally and physically out of the Orange Bowl. But I was pleasantly surprised myself that we were able to pull it out. Halfway through the third quarter of this game against Ohio State, I was kind of worried, like, here we go again. We got down, and then, a big play, finally a turnover goes our way, and that was able to be recovering that fumble punt return was a good game. It was a good game changer for us. Overall, I think the season was, I'd give us a B if I had to give us a grade. It's frustrating to lose to Carolina again, of course, and obviously to Florida State again this season. But I think overall the team responded well as they needed to, and bringing up a BCS Bowl championship is not too bad either.
Right. Well, when they were down by, I was down there in Miami last Friday, I guess it was, and when they were down by 9, I think it was 29-20. It was looking pretty dim and pretty bleak, like they weren't going to be able to come back. But I tell you, it seemed to me that they really outplayed Ohio State most of the game, and it was just some dumb mistakes. But they battled through a lot of adversity. I thought some calls didn't go their way. I think Clemson had maybe like 160 yards of penalties, and Ohio State maybe had 50 or 60. So some of the – I don't know if I've ever seen so many sideline warnings called. Have you?
Oh, yeah, me neither. Unbelievable.
I know, it really was. Well, just talk about so you gave the grade this season a B. Just talk about some of the playmakers that Clemson's going to lose going into 2014. It's going to be interesting to see how they respond.
Oh, yeah. Obviously you have to start with Todd Boyd. He's put in his work. It's been a great career. It's been fun watching him. And, of course, Sammy Watkins, MVP with the Orange Bowl, again, coming up big when we need him most. And it's going to be hard to replace those two guys. But I think from a receiving standpoint, even with losing Brian, I still think, we're going to be okay next year. I think it's Styles' time to shine. I think he's going to come in if he ends up being the starter. But I do think, it's his time to shine. I think he's going to stand up and going to fill in nicely for Todd. In the running game, we still have C.J. Davidson. I think he has a lot of potential. He actually grew up together. He played at my rival's high school at Daniel. So I've been watching him a while now. It's pretty cool to see him maybe taking the lead next year. But overall, I think offensively we're still going to be good. I think we showed that from the receivers. We have Jordan Leggett coming in. He showed his potential a little bit in the Orange Bowl. So I think it's going to be more of a reload instead of rebuild next year. I think that's going to be the main thing for us.
Right. They recruited, obviously, pretty heavily in the wide receiver spot. Obviously, you had Sharon Peak towards ACL this season, so he'll be coming back. But I think Sammy Watkins definitely solidified a spot, maybe in the top 10, definitely first round this year. But looking at, talk a little bit about Louisville and Notre Dame coming into the conference. Louisville's obviously coming to the Atlantic. What do you think they're going to bring? I think that Bobby Petrino hire, like him or not, he's a good football coach, and I think that they're going to really make the Atlantic, head and shoulders above the Coastal next year.
Oh, yeah, I think it's going to be a nice addition. It's definitely going to be interesting now with the Petrino hire to see how they fare in their first year. I don't know just how successful they'll be. You never know. I think anyone saw Missouri, Texas A&M being so lucky in the SEC as they were, being able to compete early. But with Petrino there, I think you never know. I think Louisville could maybe sneak up on people even next year or definitely in the years to come and definitely make the conference a little bit stronger.
Right. Well, talk about, obviously FSU has raised their game winning the national title, and it's almost like, Clemson was obviously the heavy ACC favorite going into the year. Obviously, it didn't turn out with them winning the conference title, but let's see. I'm interested to see how Clemson's going to respond to that because FSU looks like they're hitting their prime again, like they were in the '90s.
Oh yeah, it looks like I guess the old school FSU. The FSU I remember when I was a younger kid, I guess. And now it looks like they're back. As much as I hate it, I've got used to, Clemson kind of beating up on Florida State there for a couple of years. But it looks like the Seminoles are back, and that's definitely going to be a challenge for us moving forward. And obviously going down into Tallahassee again next year, that's going to be a tough game for us. And it'll show just how tough we are and see just how successful we are in the long run next year. See from a maturity standpoint to see where we are as a team and just how we've moved on after losing such big playmakers.
Right, and Talk about Chad Morris a little bit. You think he'll stay? I mean, have you heard his name? Obviously, every time a coaching job comes open with a decent history, it seems like he pops in there. So it's been pretty amazing to me that Clemson's been able to keep him as long as they have.
Yeah, I've actually been pretty surprised. I was really worried last season going in. I guess it was Texas Tech who was really looking at him, and I was almost positive that he was going to leave then. But I think he's pretty committed to Clemson. I think he's pretty happy right now, and I think people forget. I think this is only heading into his, next year will be his fourth year as a coordinator at Clemson. And then the year before, I believe he was a coordinator at, Tulsa. So, I mean, he's really still relatively new to the college football. I don't think he's quite ready to be a head coach yet. Maybe that's just the Clemson in me trying to keep him. But I think Chad Morris is going to be a great head coach one day. But I don't think quite yet that he's there quite yet.
Right. Well, I read your article the day after the Orange Bowl. Once again, we're talking to Chris Hall from Top Sports Report. He's got his own blog, too. I thought it was a great article about the Orange Bowl. Just talk about, I can almost argue that Orange Bowl win on a national stage was bigger. Obviously Clemson, South Carolina, huge rivalry.
Yeah.
But that was overshadowed all day by Auburn, Alabama, and what happened in that game. I don't know how many people watched it outside the state.
Oh, yeah. The rivalry's been fun. Ever since that game, it's been back and forth on social media and Facebook. And, that's what it's all about, just having fun. But I think even me as a big Clemson fan, my family's divided between Clemson and Carolina. I actually went down to the Capital One Bowl with my Gamecock side of the family. But I think I didn't really feel quite as bad about the Carolina game once we got it done against Ohio State. But I know one thing is for sure, we got to beat them next year. 5 years has been 5 years too many, so it needs to happen next year for sure.
Agreed. Well, obviously in 2012 you had the 2 losses to FSU and Carolina, winning the Chick-fil-A Bowl versus LSU, and then this year, almost kind of identical, except you win a BCS and the Orange. So, I think if we can get that turned around. But what would you say, going into next year, I would say that Clemson, way early, but would probably be in the 10-20 range, 15-20 preseason?
Yeah, I'd say probably at least top 15. I think we could round out. Obviously, there's going to be some questions with the quarterback situation and who's going to come in, and of course, again, Ross is staying there. I don't think, maybe people are going to be wondering if our other receivers can step up. But then again, just depth overall, especially on defense. Who are we going to have that's going to step in to be that number 2 guy or number 3 guy, or if someone gets hurt, who can we rely on from a depth standpoint to step in?
Right, and thanks again. But before we let you get out of here, talk a little bit about Clemson's recruiting class. Obviously, with signing day coming up in February. Is it shaping up, number of commitments, stuff like that?
I haven't had to look at it too much lately as of the past couple weeks. But I think overall we're going to be good. I know I'm looking forward to seeing Okindekro. We got a defensive tackle from, I believe, New York we recruited. I'm interested to see how effective or if effective he can be next year on the defensive line. And I'm just interested to see defensively what we're going to look at. I think we have the potential to be better than we were this year, and I think we're really starting to settle in under Venables. And I'm excited to see where our defense is going to be next year, to see if maybe that can become a strength like it used to be in the old days.
Right. Well, Chris, we appreciate you being with us, and tell the listeners out there where they can find you. I know you Top Sports Report and your blog too. Tell them about that.
Yes, sir. You can follow me on Twitter at Hall Sports Talk, and also at my blog at www.sportstalkwithchrishall. That's one word. .blogspot.com.
All right, Chris. Well, we appreciate you being with us, and look forward to next year, and hopefully. Tigers can rebound a little bit in basketball, but thanks again, and we'll have you back on soon.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks again, Chris. That's Chris Hall from Top Sports Report.